so we don't hear much about it. People in Germany who might have wanted to stop and tried to get out of Germany, and maybe some of them did.
But
It's not true. The people in Gaza holding the hostages, they will not Hamas. They will.
I understand that. Yaakov, I understand that.
Innocent Gaza.
I understand, but Adam is saying that there are no good people in Gaza. Nobody, we don't hear of anybody who's come forth. I really don't like sitting here and taking up for Gaza or Hamas. So
I hear what you're
I'm done.
done with.
I just feel like I'm supporting.
You're not. I hear what you're saying. I want to honor my argument. I'm going to say right now, are there good Gazans? Yes. Are there good Gazans, I should say, that tried? Yes. And we know that the IDF is engaged with some clans that have tried to stop Hamas. That's a fair statement, and I take it back. And believe me, I know you're not trying to.
Not trying to move to Gaza.
Yeah. Actually, there's going to be East Gaza and West Gaza. Yeah.
I'm not trying to move to Gaza.
No Parisians there? Okay.
You can't compare the surrender of Germany to
Correct.
the peace in Italy. Two totally different things, 100%.
And that's, at the end of the day, and this is Hannah Ardent's, that the Germans, the banality of evil, a lot of engaged in evil, some followed orders, but at the end of the day, they wanted to, save their tail. They moved to Argentina, they changed their names, they fled. They didn't broadcast it to the world. What'd you say? They didn't have cell phone. But they tried to hide the evidence. Ed, you're scratching your head.
I'm a little confused.
Yeah.
You're using the word Gazans and Hamas interchangeably.
Okay.
Then we talk about the Palestinians who have no education, know nothing about what the world is or the world isn't, all they want to do is survive. So when you talk about Germans and then you talk about Nazis, it's very confusing to me of where you put everybody in one section or another section. And I'm really confused of what you're trying to point out of the Nazis are the same as Hamas and Germans are the same as Nazis. I'm just a little confused.
I would hear, I'd back up. And it's great pushback. The minority of the German people were Nazis, okay? It was a minority, okay? Gazans and in the territories overwhelmingly still support Hamas, okay? If Hamas were to have elections today, Hamas would still win. If the Nazis were to have elections after 1945, I don't think the Nazi Party would win. And I think there's a difference between Germanism and Muslim Brotherhood, Islamic fundamental radicalization. And I can also say, you talk about German education. At one point, Gaza had more hospitals per square mile than any other country in the Middle East, which is astonishing to me. The amount of money that was flowing, I know it was going to the coffins of these leaders, but they had doctors, they have a bevy of universities. So I think the take home is, I still think there's a banality of evil versus radical evil. And we as Jews are going to have to wrestle with both. Yeah.
Where do you think the anti-Semitism spread, say, to the United States? Which one of the events would you say there was more anti-Semitism in this country?
Based on data right now, today? Well, I can tell you from Eitan Hirsch's study, I want to say it was back in 2018 out of Harvard and Tufts University, that minority groups ages 20 to 30 hold more anti-Semitic beliefs than white people ages 20 to 30. The demographics have completely changed. Yes, we have hate groups, especially in California, but we know it's especially in urban areas that we've seen the rise of this. So my dissertation actually begins with the murder of the Charlie Hebdo massacre in Paris, and then the attack of the supermarket. And the first time since the war, Parisian supermarkets had to close. Synagogues had to close. On top of that, we had the murder of Sarah Halimi in Paris, who was stabbed 23 times, and her assailant, who shot Allah Akbar, no jail sentence. The French had a fear of prosecuting this. And we also know that the president of France met with the Jewish communities. For the first 2 weeks, he was Macron, he was supporting the Jewish communities to the extent the French communities there, their federation, they believed that French may actually enter into the war. Then all of a sudden, he looked at his poll numbers, and you saw the complete change. The murder of Joseph Newman in Muncie, New York. No, Jersey City, the ongoing attacks against the Hasidic community in Brooklyn. And in 2021, we forget about this, May and June of 2021, Israel had with Hamas. We saw this vile, remember it was okay to be an anti-Zionist, but it had nothing to do with anti-Semitism? People were getting targeted in Beverly Hills and Miami. So it's a different form, and it's still the horseshoe. There's the right, there's the left, it's all the center. So I'm tired of calling us as the post-October 7th generation. We're now October 8th Jews. And I think we teach it, we learn from it, and we live each day giving strength to the next generation of Jews. One more, and I want you guys to go upstairs to welcome Scott, because the subject matter needs to pivot. Yes?
So, your topic today is called Never Again is Now.
Mm-hmm. And never again.
Are these people in the United States Nazis / Harvard this week on the cover of the Crimson, is it time to defriend your Zionist friends? Like, let's just say you hated Netanyahu, and it's controversial, whatever. I think most people would say they hate Putin or they hate Kim Jong-un. Would they ever have said, is it time to defriend your Korean friends or your Russian friends? Never. So are this is never again now. Like,
Never again. We saw the writing on the wall, and I will say this. I want to get Rabbi Scott upstairs, but I can pick on Rabbi Scott. Because Rabbi Scott and Rabbi Miller signed one of the most important, you know what I'm talking about, okay? The Jewish majority statement. This will be the litmus test of hiring rabbis for the near future. We signed a letter that said we categorically fundamentally reject Zohar Mamdani in his anti-Semitism, his anti-West, everything about it. We proudly signed the letter. Can I say you proudly signed the letter? Okay. That's the litmus test. Okay? It's a litmus test. It's it. And there's another letter, I think a couple hundred rabbis, there's the pros and Don. And then the question is, what about the rabbis who didn't know about it? That's something for Scott and I to talk about. But still, that letter, those 1,200 rabbis who signed that letter, that's going to be the document that says we are now October 8th Jews. And we have a moral obligation to teach Torah, to do mitzvahs, moving forward. I'm happy I found out about the Jewish majority. There's a guy who takes rabbi sermons and he puts position papers and policy so we don't have to do it. But that letter will be one of the most important documents moving forward for congregations. Did you sign the letter? If they don't find your name, you might get dismissed. That's how important that letter was for establishing New Judaism post-October 7th. Okay, good Shabbos. Go upstairs. Rabbi Scott's here. Time to be happy, okay?